Cervasa in Stockholm. We saw a lot of that. So expect to see some of those maps in the mix.
But also, I mean, there's a bunch of teams we get to see in the FACEIT League. They're not being like, they're not living in those boxes. They kind of stray out there. They come in with like some wonky strats, wonky map picks perhaps. That said though, loser doesn't get to pick map here, right? So it's a preset map pool, which I do believe they did do pick and bans on.
Yes. FACEIT League, it's like a one team gets a team A, one team gets a team B. If you're the higher seeded team, I mean, you could be team B if you want, but that would just be dumb. So you're always going to pick team A. Yeah, and you get that extra pick. So that's kind of how they draft it.
If we need it. It's a bit different because in this sense, the pick and ban is done before the series starts as opposed to like after maps, as we saw in OWCS. So in that sense, things are a little bit more locked in, and teams have maybe like less wiggle room, I guess, to make those adjustments. But I don't think it's going to make a huge difference in the grand.
Yeah, but we might see something a little out of the ordinary once in a while. So we're looking out for that stuff. For now, though, let's take a look at our bracket to see which teams are actually participating, which teams made it into our playoffs. There's some familiar names and some less familiar names. Which of these matchups get you excited, Matt?
Well, you know what? I think obviously the teams that like you look out for right at the start are like VP in Team Peps. They have a lot of players who we've seen, at the upper echelon of competitive Overwatch in the mix. The quick Esports ExOblivione match, that should be quite interesting as well. I'm looking at the teams of VP and Peps, see if we kind of have them collide towards the end.
Yeah, so a couple, I think, like your boy Kirkmeister. Obviously, he's back. Waspex, oh no. Obviously, Junkrat.
And Hev, my Swiss man.
Yep, Hev. So yeah, Junkrat aficionado himself. Also, Vision Esports has Top Dragon and Donghun on that roster, who we did see through OWCS qualifiers on. Never mind. Yeah, one of those rosters. Oh, it was a one-man army. Excuse me. So those guys, worth looking out for. I do want to see what this like the full French Team Peps rebuild is going to look like. Because obviously it's taken them some time, I think, to bubble up to the top in EMEA. Obviously, they weren't a factor in OWCS in sort of the last stage of the year, but they're thinking about building towards a successful campaign next year with this mostly pretty young French roster with FD God at the helm.
I mean, now's the time to build towards next year, right? You get this little roster mania period where everybody kind of becomes a free agent. This is, this is in the COD sphere. This is where you make your money in Call of Duty, right? You make some friends, get some scrims in, right? All of a sudden, hey, maybe I was going to be in tier 2, tier 3, that FACEIT League pyramid. I just kind of talk my way in towards that top, and you kind of wiggle your way in there. So this is the time. Make moves.
Is that how you do it? Okay.
That's how white collar criminals do it. So
actually, so Matt, you're literally just talking about Matt.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, a team we've seen around in the tier 2 scene for like ever actually is ExOblivione. We've seen a lot of different iterations just this year from this squad when we're looking at the roster. However, I think they were pretty much locked in since September, I want to say, with the roster they're having right now. The last notable showing we've seen from them has got to be the OWCS Group Stage 4. They had the unfortunate pleasure of having SR Check and good-looking SSG in their groups there, so they unfortunately didn't make it any further out, but they have some promising pieces.
I mean, I really liked what we saw from this team. I think Skytor is a really solid tank player. We saw Senna obviously subbed in to play Hitscan a fair bit. Yeah. There is that one Rialto map where she is playing Widow and she's dominating. I forget, it's like a top Hitscan that she is actually slapping around. So, I think this roster has got a lot of strength, especially at DPS and tank.
It'd be awesome to see if she can get in, if there's some type of like hit scan opportunities. Today we have a little bit of idea what we'll see meta wise, but like how you guys said, you never really know, right? When the game changes this much, in just a brief period of time, teams only have so much time to kind of coalesce around something. So we'll see if there's any type of hit scan in the mix.
Yeah.
We'll find out soon. If we're looking quickly at the Quick Esports roster there as well, this is also a roster which has been pretty much unchanged. Lots of notable pieces there, of course. I'm personally a big Hitori fan. I think a lot of those players really impressed throughout this season. And this is technically a rematch because both of these teams faced off against one another very early in October in the FACEIT League qualifiers.
October, I mean, that's ages ago.
but that's the last time they faced off against each other. I'm like, listen, I'm a sucker for recency bias. EXO took that one, but it was a very close match, and that's where my recency bias. I want another close match like that because it's the same rosters, so there's only so much that can change. Let's take a look at the map sets to see where the teams take us.
October's like 3 holidays ago.
I mean, for you maybe. I mean, you've probably had 3 holidays since October, but the rest of us that actually have jobs, no, we have had 0.
3 holidays.
That's literally what you said. I can't believe you said that. Yeah, I mean, well, it was in the group stages of of FACEIT League, this same season, in fact. But there's a lot of change as the seasons go on with these teams and rosters. Like at one point, a one-man army were in the FACEIT Master League, right? They sort of dropped out. We've had a lot of teams change names and such, so it can be hard to follow, I guess, if you sort of jump in and jump out. Point is, these two have played before, but this ExOblivione roster, honestly, I think I had Quick in a 3-1 here.
Yeah, I believe I did as well. And in a rare instance, we agree. You also see the maps 2, 3, 4, right? Those are the 3 maps I was talking about, right? It was like Kings Row, Runasapi, and then the Flashpoints, right? Teams not really going towards the clash. That would lead you to believe we're kind of in the same realm of maybe MAGA type of compositions, maybe a slight variation after some of the balance stuff the other day, but we shall see.
I mean, Malga was not affected hugely. It was just another tweak where his base health was increased and his base armor was reduced. So it's just the same total health pool, but just differing. You'll notice now he's got a little bit less armor proportionally speaking. The Winston is probably not what is being sort of considered a top tier composition, but we are going to see a lot of teams sort of buck the trends and play what they're comfortable with at this level, and it is going to be a Reaper Sojourn with the Winston set up for Quick.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to play so careful on this Winston, right? Getting in and out, Winston against the Mog, it can be very difficult to be able to stay and do enough damage. You're going to need a Reaper to come up huge with some big damage on the Sky Tour.
Absolutely. Well, Orono taking a bunch of damage here as the high ground is going to be controlled by both Sojourns, looking to set up those disruptor shots to get some free damage on the way in. Remember, they do build up that railgun charge. Sojourn as well, now her minimum railgun damage 20, maximum 120. So a subtle change on paper that makes her quite a lot more powerful, putting a lot more strength back into that rail weapon. So expect to see a lot of Sojourn today.
Yeah, as Quick Esports, they try and take high ground, but everybody just taking tons of damage as they have to back out. That's going to give the point to ExOblivione first.
Here we go. Hitori has to back away there. The cardiac overdrive, a little bit of a threat here, and an ExOblivione controlling the point. This is a problem eventually. Quick have to go for it here. They found Zoro, though, a chance to pick them off here. Captain Prash unable to heal them up adequately, but Yoham is taken down on the other side here. So the Echo with least of ExOblivione getting involved. But this should be a quick take here by Quick as the cleanup comes through.
Yeah, and one of the bigger changes actually it's a Kitsune Rush used here by ExOblivione as they still want to fight this, as you still have Sky Tour up. So it looks like they're going to be able to hold on here as, Ken gets pushed out of the choke. But one of the biggest changes, Mitch, is the buff to the DPS passive, right? The duration of that heal, the reduction, it's buffed up a second, and also the heal reduction goes from 20 to 25%. So it's a massive change here. It's going to impact a lot of the damage dealers and the supports as well. As Ken comes in, picks up 3.
Pretty nutty fight. There was a lot to talk about as that went down. One reason also why Quick might be looking to play a bit more Winston right now, you also are rewarded for direct hitting your Winston jumps a little more. You actually get 60 damage, which can be a breakpoint under some circumstances. So obviously pretty potent. There's still a huge amount of fall off on Winston's dive in general, but yeah, that DPS passive heal reduction might be a reason to go away from the Malga comp, as that is really the bread and butter of that comp's survivability. Lauren here forcing SSJ out of that window. Quick did eventually flip the point, although it took Ken going absolutely mental with a big overclock. Lauren, oh, okay, Lauren actually went for a death blossom there, but gets taken down by the pulsar torpedoes of Captain Brash. Not ideal at all. SXJ eventually falling though, and again, Sojourn highlighting things here for Quick. They should be able to string 2 fights together here.
Yeah, and that's a rare fight win, right? When the other team uses the orbital ray. It's an orbital ray used by Yoham as well to kind of fight that back as well as a rally, but still you lose the Reaper first, which the Reaper is like a brunt of the damage there onto the Maga, but Ken shooting so well on the Sojourn comes up with some huge kills. Sojourn, at least here early on for both sides, has looked to be pretty impactful.
I mean, it's a big deal when your base damage of your rail at full charge is now 120 up,
yeah,
100, and the minimum damage also been increased, so you don't even have to get the full charged ones, but you do want to be there in general. Hitori, yeah, in deep trouble. Burning, of course, a little bit from the Malga damage and wasn't able to jump away before Zoro caught them with a railgun connection. Yep, here's another overclock. Lauren flattened. Just a body shot kill there for Zoro. And Strebel with the next to follow. Expect to see a lot of Sojourn over the next few days, folks. He is looking very powerful right now. And ExOblivione break on in here as Quick had threatened to take the round away.
Well, you can obviously, with Sojourn, you know, building up these rail shots, right? Just keep applying the DPS passive to whether it's like a tank or multiple targets, right? And then being able to burst them down. This is our first look here for Quick Esports playing the Orisa. So Orisa gets some changes in the recent patch. Always, she's on like a knife's edge, I feel like, always, of becoming meta.
All right, Ken here just looking to try and position away from much of this pressure, but the Kasuna rush is going to come down. This is going to be pretty potent, but they don't have a Reaper to play inside of it, or a Malga as it stands. ExOblivione investing so deeply in that fight, but we're going to harp on it a little bit. That sustained healing in fights against that DPS passive is a lot weaker. Captain Prash is going to be able to get a touch here, maybe, but
no.
Okay, forced away before they can.
Yeah, try to get around the corner, not able to get on and get a touch. That's going to be Quick Esports there, off the rip, taking that first round. In terms of like what we're seeing like meta-wise right now, I mean, nothing. I mean, the Winston's obviously you know, a huge shift, but you're still seeing you know, some Malga in the mix. I think you're going to start to see more of this Orisa. Orisa, it seems like, remember when they used to be like you know, May was really the one like where they would change her number a little bit and it would just send her play like through the roof. Orisa seems to be that now, right? They make a small adjustment, what looks like a small adjustment, and you see her play rate go through the moon, right?
This game, I really do think at the moment is either Orisa or Malga, whichever one is stronger. Literally, Orisa had the opposite treatment as Malga. She had her armor increased and her base health decreased, so her armor proportion is up. Malga's armor proportion is down. She also got a range increase, I guess, to Terra Surge, which is pretty marginal, I think. That's definitely not why players are looking at it, but again, she's strong. She always has been. This has been a Malga or Orisa world Overwatch, depending on which is stronger patch-wise here. It looks like the teams disagree, though, on which is the one to go for. Yeah,
the extra armor, though, with a little bit of that reduction, including with the DPS pads, right? It's pretty, that combination's probably pretty good, right? To keep the Orisa alive, top to up, as Hitori just a move on in, but Zoro on a flying takes out Ken.
Yeah, pretty huge to get your opposite number in that fashion. There is SXJ responding beautifully. So comes out of left field, they're able to snap them up comfortably. Quick, after starting this map in general so strong, winning with the Winston composition against the Malga one, which by the way is definitely worth noting, are only going to have 13% here as ExOblivione eventually break back in.
Yes, Zoro and SXJ get around the point, right? I know Zoro on one side ends up picking up a kill, and then SXJ on a little bit of a flank is, okay, this is a little bit of a different look. Lucio, which we haven't seen Lucio really in quite a while, right? Since Juno's come into the meta, it's been a lot of Juno Brig. You're going to see Lucio in combination with a Queen here, so a lot of speed and mobility for Quick Esports.
Yeah, definitely, I think, need that mobility with this Junker Queen comp. Need to get it within striking distance if you can. A dupe, though, off the Queen by SXJ. And they might have the first rampage on the field if things go right for them here. A huge part of the Queen setup is hitting those knives, being able to catch people out. Hitori's able to get the axe swing on the Captain Prash, though, now, as there was a rampage that came out from SXJ. Doesn't look like it was a big difference maker in the end as the commanding shaft keeps Hitori and Co healthy enough to come forward, but they've only got Lucio for heals here.
Yeah, they're really low on healing, but that rampage you're able to actually connect to while inside of the orbital array and at least gives ExOblivione a chance in this fight.
Hitori under pressure, of course. The Reaper's trying to move up. Lauren getting in range of Skytor. But now, of course, this overclock is absolutely going to be forcing the entirety of Quick Esports away, especially with an orbital array in play. ExOblivione is 65%, and that's... and he just popped his overclock, and Zoro clapped him.
Not ideal there for Ken, as Lauren and Hitori die at the hands of the highway there, as now ExOblivione, they're in a fantastic spot, Mitch. I mean, this choke is very difficult to break in general, and now look, I mean, they have Pharah on the other side, right? So Pharah just all this damage through the chokes, switch off of the Juno over to the Kiriko, right? As you don't have that orbital, right? Just gonna try and get back in the fight a little bit faster. This is last ditch effort. As a Rampage only connects with 2.
Yeah, but it might be enough. Catching Skytor with that anti-heal is pretty big, but he's able to shrug it off before Quick can actually get in range to take advantage of it. Here's the Death Blossom from Lauren and an attempt from Johan with a Suzu to keep Quick Esports up and ticking, but they will fall flat again as this sustained damage from Farah will get them through that last fight and a pretty comfortable win in the City Center round.
Yeah, and even though Hitori connects with a 2-player Rampage, there is a rally that kind of comes in there from Captain Prash towards the end, right? So they back out, they stay alive, for a brief period of time. Then they start getting the benefits of that rally plus the cage fight, and there's no way that Quick Esports can battle it.
Yeah, interesting. They make this move over towards the Junker Queen composition, which, again, we're starting to see a fair bit here where, Juno is actually starting to be considered somewhat interchangeable. Normally it's like Juno Kiriko, not Lucio Kiri, but that was Quick making a switch up there, I think, just to try and get back into the fight, so don't read too much into that composition. Back again with another Orisa setup here. ExOblivione convinced that the Malga comp is where they want to be, and that last round was pretty decisive, I feel. However, a wayward Chaplain catches Captain Prash at the start of the fight, but Takuno at least is able to exchange some torpedoes and take down the crucial Juno of Quick.
Yes, just an odd start, right? With 2 supports falling at the beginning as ExOblivione, they'll try and take some of this high ground here. As Tori taking loads of damage. Spear spin just to back on up there and stay alive. As and take a little bit to get this Orisa healed up before they can go contest again.
Lauren just cannot fight out in the open here. Far too dangerous for the Reaper. They back away. They actually get hit with the sticky bombs before they TP up to the high ground. They're trying to take some control of that position, I think, but there's not really much to be done there. Skytor as well, clever, just drives into the corner and then stomps inside the opening of the door, zoning Quick away. And yeah, Lauren has struggled, having to play out in the open this round as the Reaper. They've been constantly peppered down either by the Sojourn or the Echo.
And I don't know about your opinion, but it feels like for me, like even in the scenario where you kind of have the Orisa and the Maga, like in that neutral fight, it just seems like the Mog is able to stay alive and just keep the health pool much higher, as this is going to be an orbital right here right off the rip, as Skytor also pops the Cardiac Overdrive. Going to be able to stay really healthy. Terror Surge available for Hitori. Could just bring everybody into this Reaper damage.
Yeah, ExOblivione not actually able to find any big kills off that exchange, even though they had Skytor inside the orbital ray. And now the crackback comes in pretty quick. It's XSJ brought rapidly back down to earth here as Skytor tries to hit that backline, but there was just no one there for the Malga to impact. Johan can sit on this orbital ray. There's no reason to use it, and Quick should be able to string a second fight.
Yeah.
Win together after this one.
I mean, that is massive, right? Being able to win this fight without having to use orbital ray or rally when Takuno's use the orbital ray on the other side. It should give you like 2 fights, right? In a situation where you think you can win for Quick Esports, which gets you right back into this game.
It was a really good disengage from Quick, I think. Maybe a little bit telegraphed as Skytor was literally running at them in slow motion like it was Chariots of Fire. But still, they got the message. Here's Skytor again, comes in for a stomp. Hitori's able to shrug it off though with that Fortify, and Ken asking for more here with this overclock. Will force ExOblivione right out of the way, and on the backside, they get the pick on XJ. That's the 2 fights in a row that Quick have won, and they still haven't used their support ults.
Yeah, I mean, just they're probably going to get another fight out of this, right? Just using the overclock or not having to use anything else and pushing them back to the spawn and winning the fight off of it, just delaying, is huge. It should actually get them close to taking the lead, and then they have a huge advantage in this next fight coming up.
Skytor here just trading. Can't afford to take too much damage and has his armor knocked. He's going to be throwing down this cage fight. Okay, Lauren's caught in the middle of it. Has a Death Blossom, but okay, doesn't really have an opportunity to make use of it there. They're going to fall to those torpedoes. Zora here with this overclock now is able to get away from the increased range of the Terror Surge and avoid that Orisa ultimate here. Quick Esports then lose a fight that they had to commit both of their support ultimates to, whereas ExOblivione only end up using the rally. So the ult economy completely in shambles here on both sides. But we're going to have an even game.
And cage fight is still really impactful, right? The cage fight from Skytor and then a rally there from Captain Prash. I mean, just about everything thrown in there for Quick Esports, and all you have to do is use that cage fight, burn a player or 2 down right away, and it creates a huge advantage for the rest of your team. Not exactly like everybody wants to push directly into the cage to fight it, and with the percentage right now, Quick Esports, they're in a lot of trouble, right? You lose this fight, you're in a really rough situation.
I don't know if they can beat Orbital Ray Malga.
I mean,
we saw it happen on the first round, in fairness.
The longer it takes for this to develop, I mean, they're going to give themselves no chance at a second attempt.
Yep. Oh, I like this though. Okay, Zora getting picked off. Lauren's able to find a free assassination in the backline. Do they have the TP to get back up? It may not matter. This Orbital Ray is a problem. You can see just how hard Skytor and Co are hitting. That's a beautiful stomp as well. There is no way Strebor is extricating himself from this fight, and Johan will be chased down. There was a quick flip there by Quick. I think it might have been Lauren actually back on the point after finding that assassination. But they get hit harder than I don't know, a 12-year-old getting run down by a rugby player. Not much you can do about that one here as the charge came in from Skytor to get rid of the Reaper, but it's still a contested little stacker.
Yeah, it's still contested here. It's already goes on to the Doom, try and keep it in their favor as it's going to be Ken still up on the high ground. Nice railgun shot as now you're getting everybody back here on just mobile heroes.
Yeah. Ken trying to slide away there under a lot of pressure now. We have a duplicate of the Sojourn for SXJ, and they're going to find Lauren with a nice little headshot. That is absolutely absurd. ExOblivione end up taking the round away. They walk into that fight, of course, with the Orbital Ray to back up their Malgamat, and they're able to convert, although it gets a little dicey.
Well, you know, as much as like there's a new patch update comes out, right? What's the meta? Maga. Still pretty good. Right? You can still make Maga work in a lot of situations, you know, regardless of what happens. So, ends up working out there. The Maga combined with the Orbital Ray in that final fight, like we were talking about. It's just a really devastating combo to try and fight.
Yeah, it could have gone either way, though, because Lauren somehow gets into the backline of ExOblivione.
Yeah, it was wild.
Fight and gets that free kill on Zoro. Then goes and I think flips the point. Basically, you know, meaning the round could have gone a lot longer. So I do like that look from them. It wasn't quite enough in the end. And from Quick, we saw, wow, we saw the Orisa, we saw the Queen, we saw the Winston comps, all three of those. You know, they came out of the gates on the Winston setup and were able to win that round. So it's nice to see how much is at their fingertips. But the Malga comp got ExOblivione there in the end. Let's have a quick look back and see how this went down. I'm a big fan of the Winston comp being able to win the first round.
Yeah, and I mean, if you are a team that was pretty good, right, at the Maga-based setups, even with the patch, there's probably not a huge incentive with the short amount of time to like swap, right? Unless something is like super strong, right, and like overpowering. Where the Winston setup at the start looked really good. The Orisa, if they can close the gap against the Maga, can like bully the Maga out a little bit. And same with the Queen, right? We saw some Queen in Stockholm, a very limited amount, but at least here at the start, it seems like just, you know, the cardiac overdrive, everything that Maga brings to the team, still very difficult to stop.
Yeah. And we kind of wondered what the impact of the sort of elongated DPS passive would be, because I think the intent of making that now 3 seconds and, you know, increasing the healing reduction was so like sustained damage was more of a threat in those longer fights against the comps that just abuse healing, right? Orbital Ray setups, or of course, like anything with Malga and that sort of cardiac overdrive, you know, that's why maybe some teams were training towards the Orisa setup, which is less about healing to mitigate sort of threat, but, you know, break it up with Orisa's cooldowns and get in there and sort of brawl that a little bit more. So we start to see maybe these comps look similarly impactful here, but the Malga setup still is definitely something to be feared.
I also wonder how much the DPS passive, the extension of it, like impacts this level of play, right? The fights at this level of play are so fast, and the kills happen so fast, the targeting so good that like, does that extra second of reduced healing actually matter? Where like, I think if you're playing at like a lower skill level, right? I think it's definitely probably noticeable. Yeah, exactly. I think it's probably more pronounced like a lower skill level, like not being able to keep teammates alive through some of this stuff. Where, you know, the highest levels of competitive Overwatch, you see how fast they're able to take people out and just burn down targets. I wonder how impactful it is.
Yeah, we're going to go to a quick break. And while we have you there, we're going to run you some highlights of the FACEIT League we've seen so far. So enjoy that. We'll be back with Map 2 real shortly.
Welcome back, one and all. This is FACEIT
some video
playoffs. These is some video games, though. Mitch, Matt joining me here once again. We just saw one map being played in our first series of the day here in the upper bracket in the EMEA region. And what can I say? I was right. You guys were wrong.
Was I wrong?
We said 3-1.
Wrong.
Yeah. You said.
Did you say 1? You gave them a. Okay.
Yeah, I think I said that Quick would win 3-1. So I'm still.
Did you though?
I'm still.
We're still in the mix here. We're still in the mix. Yeah,
I'm calling it. I'm pulling a Jake on you. I'm calling the action already.
That's
half a map in. I'm calling it.
Yeah. I do think that in fairness, like looking over the records of these teams, I was a little surprised to see EXO at like 6-5, I think, wherever they were. I just think this team is a lot stronger than maybe like a mid-table finish into the playoffs would indicate. But yeah, they look really good here. I do think that this is like I think we picked what is probably the most competitive match of the quarterfinals. So
I mean, the viewers,
absolutely.
I mean, they decide with Zoe. I mean, this is, you know.
Obviously. It's a me thing. It has nothing to do with EXO actually being a really, really decent team. And EXO just took that dub on the map that Quick Esports actually picked. Now we're heading over to Kings Row, and that was EXO's pick. So let's see what they have in store for us as we're heading into our second map of the series.
Thank you. Yeah. So Control doesn't go the way that the Quick sort of hope it does here. And EXO's map pick, of course, is Kings Row. Obviously a map that's very conducive to playing as Malga comps. Also, the Orisa very reasonable. We've seen Junker Queen play on this map. There's honestly, you can play a whole bunch of different stuff here. So I think one thing that you can bet on is that both teams will be running Sojourn.
Yeah, I mean, Sojourn obviously extremely good controlling the high ground here. You could even like put an Ashe in the mix, right? Like we saw Twisted Minds do in Stockholm. But this map is well, so look, it's pretty good for like Maga based things, right? It can also be pretty good for like Winston or Diva and like Dive, right, to kind of like access some of that high ground. I assume though this is a straight Maga pick, right? As it'll be excellent defense first. So I'll actually play the Ashe in the mix. So Ashe at the start probably has an advantage over the Sojourn, just like at the effective range, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Sojourn like as we move to the second part of the map.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out here. The SXJ also has a question for Quick Esports in all chat. We turned off all chat in OWCS eventually this year, which is a real shame. So I am, I'm kind of excited to see the players talk some smack. It looks like Quick are so locked in here. Obviously, after dropping that first map of the series, they are going to be back with the vengeance here. So they will have the Orisa comp. Interestingly, though, it's an unop-rig setup, which is pretty curious here. I mean, Orisa is a reasonable nano boost recipient, but a little surprising not to see something with perhaps some mobility or also the Juno.
I mean, it's just to come out the spawn, right? Maybe you hit a bio and you can follow up on it, but now you have the Juno back in the mix. It feels like you need the speed. Orbital Ray as well, just extremely strong as Ken just rips XSG's head off right there. I mean, that is a sick shot.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking for it. Playing Echo, I think, or any sort of like airborne hero against Sojourn as she stands right now. SXJ comes off second best there, but Quick Esports still need to step a bit further over towards the point to start this cap here, and Skytool will be ready to move out of the hotel to engage them. Lauren has to be careful, of course, as Zoro has those sightlines on the Ashe here, the more defensive pick. One that obviously wants to abuse that dynamite as much as possible against the Quick Esports team who will likely group on the high ground. You'll notice the Ken goes very low there, so that has to be healed up pretty quickly. You got to be a little bit worried about Captain Prash, who's in the mix there as SXJ at least gets Lauren. This will force the drop down though of Zoro, which means high ground belongs to the attackers.
Yeah, Ken up here with Straybor coming up on a little bit of a flank, right? So you have the Brig and the Sojourn up here in combination as Hattori pushes through the choke with Yoham. So they're trying to make a play here and push some of these players out through the choke, then double back towards the point.
Hattori wants to push in here. 2 ticks already now for Quick. They've gotten rid of Captain Prash, and Skytool can't do too much about that, trying to get away. But it's that first pick there, the pick on SXJ by Ken, that opens the door for Quick to move on in.
Yeah, then you get good high ground control, right, from Quick Esports. They push some of the players from ExOblivione off of there down into the choke. That's where you have the Orisa, get the little bit of speed boost up there with the Juno and take those players out through that choke. I was going to say, I wonder if we see Zoro switch here as we go to the second part of the map, but with a Bob available, you probably just kind of hold on to this. Dynamite as well. We've talked about in the past, putting a lot of heal pressure on, even more now, right, with the DPS passive.
Great point. That sustained damage is what benefits most, actually, from the elongation of that DPS passive. Here goes Ken, though. A little bit hard to see the wood for the trees right now, with an overclock in play, looking at Skytor trying to bring down the one that caged them in the first place. The cage is down. Bob is an issue on that corner. Eventually, though, he will pull himself on out there. We have a duplicated Malga going to work, but Ken is finally able to get rid of Skytor. And even without Lauren, they should still be able to do some work here quick. They have that tank advantage, and Hitori has exacerbated that by taking down both DPS. Both healers, rather.
Yeah, I liked the use of the cage there for ExOblivione. Ken putting down so much damage with that overclock on the Skytor, and they almost used the Bob to like kind of zone some of the players off, prevent them pushing through. And this is what I thought you would see from Zora. I thought you would see a Sojourn switch after first point, and now you bring the Sojourn in, but you might be a little bit too late. You're probably going to be, well, it's going to get close, right? You're probably going to have one more fight here before the second checkpoint.
Yeah, if they can get close enough. ExOblivione have Skytor waiting in the wings there, and Zora was also ready to get involved, charged up with a railgun, waiting. Captain Prash for the rally here can step on up, and it's going to be the plan pretty much straight away. Skytor wants to come forward now, and this is beautiful. Shoulder charge connection. Ken, with all the mobility in the world, it feels, for DPS, couldn't get away from that.
Yeah, everybody on Quick Esports, I know, tried to disengage. Maybe Ken didn't get the memo there, just get stomped out now. But for Quick Esports, right, not the worst thing. You end up getting the cart pretty close to getting that second checkpoint. They end up using a rally. You come back with Orbital Ray, such a powerful ultimate. It feels like that'll be a fight win, right? Orbital Ray kick things off here.
Yeah, it comes out reactively here, but Zoro is able to take Triple down before they can benefit from the healing of the Orbital Ray. What? Quick make use of that ultimate, and yet the DPS of ExOblivione come clambering over them. That cart, though, still sailing towards the checkpoint here. ExOblivione do need to respond, but they don't have that Malga. He's coming back off spawn, and Prash is just able to touch just in time. SXJ is there, taking down Lauren. Now the 2v1 on Hitori. They can defend this. ExOblivione has gotten away with absolute murder.
I thought Hitori with the Terror Surge was going to like grip them off, and they weren't going to be able to get back. Tries to use a Spear Spin, push players back, then the Terror Surge try and group them in. So I thought potentially they weren't going to be able to get a touch, but they end up doing there for ExOblivione, preventing them from getting that card over the line on defense. I mean, that was clutch.
That's a tilter. That's an Orbital Ray fight for Quick Esports that goes horribly wrong. Now SXJ with another duplicate can jump into an Orbital Ray of their own. Then just sit on that ultimate. No need to make use of it here. Hitori eventually succumbs as they just run out of defensive cooldowns. And our Quick Esports are inside the 90-minute warning.
Yeah, and I mean, ExOblivione, right? You're going to be able to have this, cage fight here coming up next. Cage fight plus rally, obviously, a pretty strong combination. See if Strebor uses the rally to kind of push into that cage fight. As Quick Esports, right? You end up using this like overclock in your rally. You're very close to an orbital ray, but like the worst thing would be using like those three and not getting it, and they are now what, below a minute? I mean, probably below 30 seconds at that point. I mean, that's a brutal scenario.
Yeah, here's an Orisa Dupe in a beautiful cage fight to come down here with the rally in play. Quick Esports are still forced to just stand here and try and fight. Lauren is the last person who ever wants to be caught inside that cage with an ultimate, no less. If they had time, they could have gone for a Malga dupe and build up one of their own, at least have had a cardiac overdrive cooldown to give to their team inside the cage. Could have given them a chance, but Lauren never had the opportunity.
Yeah, and Hitori dies late. You see the players in ExOblivione push up a little bit, see if they can just kind of catch one player out, waiting for Quick Esports to get back together, but that is huge, right? Rally plus overclock off the table here for Quick Esports. So it will be a rally here for ExOblivione. Yoham, though, with the Orbital Ray. I wonder if you can, like, hype this if you're ExOblivione, or if they end up using that Orbital Ray. Okay, they use it really early.
Yeah, very early. They really want to try and take this fight. Quick Esports with a dupe here of the Malga, trying to bully their way in. I mean, they do get to benefit from that nasty combination here. It has worked out for them so far. Only Strebor falling. Skytor as well. The last player standing with nobody really to play off of. That's nicely done by Quick Esports. They had to go for it there. I'm a little bit surprised. ExOblivione pushed so far out into the...
That's what I was going to say. I'm surprised that ExOblivione played that aggressively into it, right? They kind of opened things up with Skytor jumping in with a stomp, and then that allows them to use the Orbital Ray, and Captain Prash uses the rally, but there's nobody there, right? Like, you end up using the rally back by the payload, and there's nobody there to really gain tons of benefit for it, where I feel like if they played that a little bit more passively, at least they kind of get into OT on the card. And what is this? We have a Zenyatta sighting.
Yeah, okay. Strebor with the Zen. Now, ExOblivione are playing a comp that does want to run up on Quick Esports, so this to me feels pretty risky. But on these longer sidelines here, you can really make life even harder for the Mauga to stay healthy in the middle of these fights. That Discord Orb is going to really hurt them. Down to 30% HP as ExOblivione tried to start the fight here. There's still an Orbit Array that came out from Tekuno, and they are playing from within it, getting healing out to the players on the periphery. Once again, ExOblivione get to run Quick down, which is why we're a little worried about the Zen being used here.
It feels like you just run the Zen down. It's like, I mean, Zen obviously a little bit of a glass cannon, and then being able to just kind of get on him with a stomp or even, you know, XXJ. I mean, think about how fast it is to use that focusing beam to kill that Zenyatta. It could be very difficult to keep him alive.
That was dirty. The off angle. This is a 1v1 against Lauren. That is so nasty. Quick Esports not ready for that at all, and of course they have all the trimmings, not that they need them. 2 overclocks are better than 1 apparently. There was no need to do any of this. But again, it's the end of the round. Quick Esports are not going to have a way to get out of spawn. Yo, that SXJ, that was
that was sick. I mean, comes out of that top window, takes out Lauren, and then also takes out Strebor on the Zen. So, you know, double kill coming right out of that top window. I mean, that was pretty nuts there. You also see the downside of the Zen, right? He basically gets hit with the stickies. The focusing beam goes directly onto him, and he's dead instantly.
Yeah. You can't. I mean, again, you want to play Zen against the slow comps, the ones that like want to try and poke you down. Maybe you feel like you have an advantage there. We've seen it against like Ramatra comps, for example. But yeah, if you have a comp that's going to run at the Zen, like you have that sick mobility of like Echo, for example, and a front line of Mauga who can charge in there, it feels scary. You don't always have the time to get value from your Discords.
But even then, right, you talk about these comps that Zen would want to be played against. Even when we see teams play that, we don't even see them bring out Zen, right? Because he's such a... we're talking about how teams at this high level, like the target prioritization so good. As soon as you see the Zen on the other side, I mean, there's no discussion about who the target is, right? It's like, okay, we're going to attack, the 250 HP target who can't move, right?
Yeah, brutal stuff. Quick Esports. We did pred them to win, and perhaps my faith has been shaken somewhat. I won't lie.
Yeah, Zoe brought herself in after ExOblivione took that first map. If Quick Esports wins here, ties it up, is she gonna come back on? Defend the ExOblivione? What's going on here?
What is this crosshair, Zoro?
Yeah, so this is something obviously new with this update, where we actually see all the player crosshairs with the observer feeds. So this is going to be a lot of judgment, I think.
Why am I?
That is quite large.
This is some Roblox level-ish. You know what I'm saying?
This is like a early Overwatch 1 XQC on Junkrat, like with the crosshair being the entire screen.
I remember that one.
Like a block crosshair.
The Doom crosshair. There's just one big square.
Yeah, just a big square. See, this is I like this one. SXJ. This is a nice crosshair right here.
I'm pretty sure like Captain Prash, by the way, with the most default of default any crosshairs. I'm surprised someone plays the game for so long and never want to tweak that a little bit. Either way, Zoro finds the pick with that ungodly crosshair. Getting rid of Ken, the Sojourn no less here. And this is ExOblivione, who are already capping the point, by the way.
Yeah.
Getting these picks incidentally. Oh, they're chilling.
Yeah, fast pick. Well, Quick Esports, right? You start here with the Sojourn. We were talking about Sojourn versus Ashe. They're going to get staggered out a little bit here. You just don't have as much range with the Sojourn here on the, especially when you're going to get outranged now by a Widowmaker and Zoro switches. So I really like the decisions here from ExOblivione on offense.
Yeah, that's a great look. And again, we've sort of seen this where they picked up to punish the more range inhibited hit scan DPS on that first point. And if you have like the tempo, you have so much room as that Widow just to sit, take the shot, and win the fight out. So, Quick still adamant about this Orisa Reaper-based composition here. Out of spawn they move, giving Skytor some free ult charge. Sure he's happy about that one now, because that card is already made around that first corner, so no chance to play in that first choke at all for Quick.
Yeah, and I mean, now you're in a scenario for Quick where you lose this fight, you're in the world of hurt, right? Here's going to be a dupe Reaper, so put even some more tank damage down on the field, yeah. That's an orbital ray as well.
Yeah, the orbital ray here for Quick. I mean, they sort of disengage back behind that. Hitori just has to harass XJ just to keep them honest here, but there's no real kill pressure right now on the Echo. Is SXJ going to back away? Here's that cage fight. Who's caught inside of it? Well, Terror Surge going to be popped here, and SXJ is able to get away from the brunt of the damage, and here's that later orbital raid from EXO, and this should really end the fight.
Oh, I mean, this is brutal.
Nothing against this.
Yeah, I mean, they end up swapping sides pretty much, and then the orbital ray comes in there from ExOblivione. A nice try there with the Terror Surge inside of the cage fight just to put down some big damage, but you also end up holding on a rally here. This is probably going to be second checkpoint, and with how close you see right there, just around that first corner, really, you're like, if you give up this checkpoint here, you may end up having to fight it just to give yourself an extra fight, because if you give up this checkpoint, I mean, you're really just one fight around this corner, and then it's GG.
That checkpoint's coming up in, yeah, just a few moments, like you said, Matt.
You gotta fight it.
Quick Esports have got a lot to fight this with, in fairness. No reason not to win this fight if you're the defenders. I say that often, and it tends to be a curse, but Lauren, again, that's what they were able to make happen on that first round. Think back to Oasis, that early pick on SXJ. Seems to be one of the key win conditions here for Quick.
Yeah.
ExOblivione don't even want to fight it, and they've also drawn 2 ultimates out of the defenders.
Yeah, it's going to be the overclock and rally, and then they just back up, right? Johan potentially getting this orbital rate would be huge here. I know for Quick Esports is this has not even been a lot of time off the clock for ExOblivione, as Lauren in a pretty difficult spot, gonna have to use that rate for him to get out.
Okay, Zoro's able to get to the back of the pack and would have loved to make use of that overclock here, but they're gonna get picked off at longer range by Ken, who wins the Sojourn duel, and SXJ's duplicate of the Mauga unfortunately isn't going to come to too much. They get Strep War at least here. Might be decent in terms of the tempo implications as Hitori does fall. There's a chance here now without the Mauga in playmat for ExOblivione to push up.
Yeah, these kills aren't useless, right? You're going to be able to kind of push off of some of these as you end up losing a few players to Quick Esports quite early. You can get back in the fight, but it's going to be a little bit of chaos, as now you're going to have both support ults here for ExOblivione. You can stagger these here if you wanted, as Zoro using that overclock there on the side, just putting down some big damage.
What? Oh, Lauren! Okay,
Oh,
great TP to get back behind them. They're going to walk straight into the cage, and Lauren saves the day with that Death Blossom. If I'm not mistaken, that is a full team wipe from the Reaper. 5 kills, starting with a nasty little backstab on Zoro.
Yeah, I was like, when Zoro died, I was like, where is the Reaper? That damage is coming down from the Reaper. Did Zoro know as well? The TP directly behind, and then the Reaper goes crazy there with the Death Blossom inside of the cage fight.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Horan sees an opportunity to go ham. Saves the day here for Quick. Now it's ExOblivione down to the 92nd warning. Quick have really started to turn up in this game. There's no big ultimates for EXO to work with here. Ken can come forward with an overclock and already forces a disengage out of EXO. Skytor doesn't want to be there. Takuno, frankly, can't get out of dodge. And now EXO just need to die on card as quickly as they can. Hitori falling here probably won't amount to much because there's a stagger on Zoro.
I'm just getting started.
So I mean, this looks really good for ExOblivione, and it is just falling apart. As Quick Esports here on defense come up pretty clutch, right? Also, it feels like they've definitely made more strides here at Quick Esports as they've decided to go to the Mauga, right? Trying to play the Queen, trying to play the Orisa, some Winston, like, let's just play the Mauga, see how that goes. As and now in this Mauga head-to-head, they've come out on top.
All right. Okay, Skytor finding Hitori first, though. This could be the opening. Somehow, Hitori just takes too much damage. It's something you can't afford to do. Zoro going to be picked up in response. Skytor wants to turn back around, though, and deal with the, I guess, the Brig that just dove into their backline with the rally. Looks like Quick Esports, though, have overextended too far into the setup of ExOblivione. And they're going to have to set up to fight on this last phase of the map, but the clock bleed, Matt, has been very good.
Yeah, I mean, as good as you could ask for in the situation that Quick Esports was in, right? I know ExOblivione felt like they had a world of time, like 2+ minutes on the clock. They get it into OT. This is going to be rough, though, for Quick Esports. They cannot have Lauren die here early. Trying to control that high ground, though, gets pushed off. It's actually quite huge. You want to kind of control that if you're ExOblivione.
Being able to just drop down as Echo and throw the sticky bombs on any sort of target. In fact, Lauren did give that space up, but ExOblivione opted not to take it up. Perhaps that happens here. Oh, okay, huge. There was an overclock from Ken. Shut down. Orbital right now from Johan for Quick Esports. They're going to try and make something happen here, but Zoro has the overclock themselves, and the damage boost makes this all too easy. Lauren tries to save the day again. They might just have done it with a Death Blossom for 3. Captain Prash is down. SXJ needs to win this battle against the Reaper, but the healing's not good enough. And Lauren, by God, you've done it again.
The Reaper absolutely bailing out Quick Esports here. In King's Row in map number 2. I mean, Lauren's gone absolutely crazy for Quick Esports. Really, that is a losing fight in just about every scenario, but the Reaper just going absolutely crazy.
Lauren as well, chilling up on that high ground position. SXJ will have to clear them. And tough business. Okay, it's going to be a dupe of the Reaper here. I don't think SXJ is close enough there to Johan, but a finishing shot from Zoro as both DPS combine and collapse on towards that Juno. Death Blossom here for SXJ doesn't have to be impressive, just has to clear the rafters, and it does. Zoro with yet another railgun kick here, and just as quick, we're looking like they'll be able to hold off. It's EXO who will take a second map.
And a quick 2-0 lead there for ExOblivione as, man, Lauren on the Reaper, I mean, just going crazy. There's not really much more you could do there. You lose, I think it was Zoro, 2 fights in a row, gets an early first pick on the Sojourn. Your Reaper gets a 4K, it ended up kind of keeping you alive in the first fight. The second fight, though, I mean, you can't ask them to do it again. Now you're in a really rough spot.
No, look, genuinely a very close map. If any one of those fights, there's a pop-off from, an extra pop-off from Ken, rather, or, quick sort of just win from an ultimate disadvantage like we saw ExOblivione do on a couple of occasions, right? Then the game looks completely different. It's a one-fight game, is what it comes down to. If this was the OWCS and we were showing stats, they'd be basically the same here. So another really competitive map just to show that these two teams are right at each other's level here. But SXJ gets a pretty big duplicate of a Reaper there. And it's a Death Blossom that comes out that's not amazing, but it controls Hitori, gets the Malga low crucially, and also means that Reaper can't, go for a flank on the quick side. Then they're forced down out from that window. We might see that later, but yeah. Great map in general.
Yeah, I mean, SSJ also puts down enough damage with the Reaper onto Johan for Zoro to just finish him off, right? With a railgun shot at range. So it's still really good stuff here from both teams. I mean, this is a very close map, really close series. Even Oasis kind of back and forth here. So we take a look at some of the highlights. Is Zoro felt like, I mean, both Sojourns had their moments. I feel like, though, towards the end of the game, right, where ExOblivione was on offense there and those winning moments, that's when Zoro started to get the upper hand.
Yeah, I think Lauren obviously see them here. This is that nasty little 2-piece from SXJ when they just emerge out of sort of nowhere. The attack side strat for ExOblivione is great, right? Play that Widow against the Reaper Sojourn. You're advantaged in both this matchup. That TP was a TikTok level TP from Lauren. Coming back into the fight, then killing 4 people with that Death Blossom. So that is beautiful. They obviously feel more comfortable on the Reaper as opposed to matching the Echo, where SXJ seems to be a little bit better. But it also means that they no longer have the option to dupe a Malga. And maybe that's the reason why they switch off the Orisa and actually take the Malga comp instead. But yeah, they just pull up short. I'd be pretty frustrated if I'm Quick, because that you're right at the level of this ExOblivione roster.
Yeah, I mean, you're right in the mix, right? And to lose 2 maps in the way you have thus far with them being that close, I mean, it is a pretty draining. I mean, this is the fight where Lauren gets 4 and then not able to kind of come out on top. As here is the kind of winning moment, though, as you lose Johan off the rip. Very difficult to bounce back. So we go over to Runasapi. Runasapi's one where I actually think the Echo is quite good, right? We see a lot of Reaper here early on. But the Echo can be really good here, right? Controlling some of those longer sight lines. So we'll see how impactful Lauren on the Reaper is.
Yeah, I mean, these two teams played Runasapi back in October, so I actually put it 3 holidays ago. And EXO actually slapped them by 100 meters was their winning record here. So that's the historical data for you guys. But again, different day, and it's been virtually an era since that game went down, so plenty can change. We're also on live right now. Those wondering, we are on the live patch without Hazard available, so it means obviously we've had a lot of tweaks in this patch, as well as a change to the DPS passive, so that's something worth bearing in mind. In terms of tanks, like we've sort of discussed here, Ramatra's Vortex got buffed a little bit, Winston got a small jump buff, but for Malga and Orisa, it's just the proportion of health to armor that got tweaked on them, nothing major.
And also, because we are on live, there is also the chance that obviously tons of players just spamming ranked at the moment, that something in ranked becomes really strong, and we see it kind of come in throughout the weekend, right? This is just kind of our first look as Quick Esports. They will come out that Winston Reaper. I think this is going to be really tough to play into the Malga here.
Yeah, look, I mean, we saw this in our first round of Oasis, and it worked, but that was a map obviously with much more high ground, which Runesapi does offer, but a lot less than other push maps. Tough to make the Winston work here. Definitely more like if you want to play Winston, you'd almost feel like you'd want to go to Esperanza, for example, because they have those bridges and higher grounds to play from. But let's see. Let's see if this works for Quick, because teams have actually swapped sides on the screen, if you're wondering. That is perfect. What a dive. I mean, again, Hitori just finds SXJ and Captain Brash split after the rest of their team, and Lauren elsewhere goes to work on Skytor. So far, not too bad for this Reaper comp. No Juno in sight, by the way. It's Lucio Kiriko.
Yeah, you just want to kind of like circumvent the Mog on the other side. Figure out where Zoro's playing, most likely playing round Captain Prash or Takuno, and just dive on those targets, right? Yeah, go back, deal with the Maga much later. Is all they assassinate. SXJ, you have a Tori here there with Lauren.
Bro, I'm sorry, we are watching Winston on Runesapi. This is not normal. This is extremely rare, and they are clapping them. These dives from Hitori.
First checkpoint already.
But against, by the way, a team whose Winston comp we gassed up in like FACEIT Season 2 or OWCS, I think, groups or something like that. Like Skytor was a great Winston player. But EXO not fancying it at all, and they are getting smashed by this setup.
And let's see how they play against this, right? Because you're going to ditch the Echo to play a Reaper of your own. If you can play with that Reaper around the other team's Winston, I mean, this is just a blowout now, though. I mean, that is ExOblivione just kind of throwing themselves onto the cart. And they just get ran over by Quick Esports.
That is... Okay, this is very, very quick. Already 80 meters. We are 2 minutes into the game, by the way. So this is about as fast as one team can possibly push across the map based on the movement speed constraints of your boy TS1 moving the barrier. So ExOblivione actually allowing this to get to triple digits already. They've got to make something happen here. As Quick last fight, it was Yoham who got into the backline and found an assassination. And I think we're looking for one from Lauren here with a Death Blossom developed. Ken going to be popping the overclock now. Looking to try and bring Zoro down, who's close to their own ultimate. That is a bit of an overextension. They are caught out of position well and truly. And Hitori can deny any orbital ray value by knocking players out from it. Captain Prash has been relegated back to their own spawn.
I mean, this is a slaughtering right now. It's Hitori going to work on the Winston. Able to pick up two, chasing down this Maga. Takes a lot of damage here. Does not have the Primal. Gonna get some healing there from Yoham, and you do have a sound barrier to work with. A rare sound barrier occurrence. Oh, but you're not gonna be able to drop it here.
No! The Ajax is so rough. I think Skytor charged in there, and Strebel didn't have a chance to use it. I think they might have been stunned up by a stomp. Either way, yeah, we saw it. That's brutal.
I mean, not as an FD God play. I mean, that is just calling it an FD God play. I mean, that is tough. Not as egregious as the one, I believe it was Violet from the top ropes on Runesapi.
Yeah.
Not as egregious as that one, but still not ideal there for Quick Esports. Is you end up just kind of throwing that one in the bin.
I mean, if I'm Trevor, I'm calling SRP check right there. If I'm getting flack about that one. I got hit by a you got hit by a stun. The stop.
Yeah.
It happens. I feel for the guy. Either way, ExOblivione now with a bit of tempo, finally in a position to actually gain some meterage on the map. Here we go. But on the move, but already they're turning to try and deal with the threat of Hitori. Yoham tries to dive deep to help out Winston, but they don't have their Sojourn in play here, and it definitely feels like an elongated cleanup phase for ExOblivione. The stall is real. Are we actually... Okay.
Primal?
Why?
Maybe thought they could just kind of stall it out a little bit longer. Maybe see if you can like force a support hold or something, but...
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you're gonna switch. Maybe because the Reaper on the other side. I mean, they've been running the Reaper for like two fights now, 3 fights. Yeah, okay, so they're gonna play the Queen. So maybe you just felt like you were gonna swap as Lauren gets taken out. So some staggers here coming on for Quick Esports. Is we've seen a lot of comebacks on Runesapi specifically. I would not be surprised if ExOblivione makes this a game. There's still a lot of time on the clock.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And also, like I mean, this is a really tempo-dependent map. I really do think you can sort of snowball multiple fights in a row once you get to a critical mass of those ultimates. I don't hate the Queen pick. There's no Juno on the map. I just want to point that out. 0 Juno to speak of. It's going to be the first time in months I feel like this has happened.
Right.
Rory's in the mix though. Nice little axe swing. The residual healing is good, but it's not good enough against a team who's playing inside their own Kitsune rush. Yoham's just wasn't able to be utilized by Quick Esports in the same fashion, and EXO will push on past that first checkpoint.
I mean, that is, you know, we're going to get well beyond the first checkpoint. They know that one player is actually still behind. Is that Yoham still behind there? As Quick Esports is one player, I think, still behind.
Yoham out of range for a swift step? I think.
Yeah, I believe so. I think they're trying. Yeah, they're trying to get them near an angle here. So yeah, they do end up getting back near the team as Trevor takes some damage.
Okay, Zoro with an overclock popped here, looking for Yoham, who threw down that Suzu very quickly. Hitori now has to get away, and they had to walk into what looked like a disruptor shot. Well, from Ken, it might have been a defensive one, but either way, they catch that queen and put the damage down. And ExOblivione,
they're going to take the lead. They're going to end up taking the lead, and then even worse is SkyTour is going to end up having the cage fight in combination with the Death Blossom, and you also have a sound barrier advantage here. I mean, this is absolutely brutal here for Quick Esports. We've seen a lot of comebacks here.
Immediately. This is unreal. Here comes the sound barrier now for ExOblivione. Lauren's already got caught out. The cage fight's going to be a problem. Ken can't do too much about it. Hitori's fallen. Ken's trying to save the day, but only able to find the pick on Captain Prash is not enough. Zoro's able to bring them down. We might be looking at a clear here from ExOblivione. We're in the lead now at 130. We've still got 3.5 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, both sound barriers used here, right? So you're going to have a free Death Blossom here for SXJ. Satori takes a lot of damage. You're going to back out here probably. You're going to wait. I believe you need a support back in the action here for ExOblivione. Had somebody drop in that previous fight, but a massive comeback from them. A Tracer in the mix?
Yeah. Tries to switch for Ken.
That feels like a just get back to the bot.
On the last point, you have a lot of flank angles. I think you have less of them here, though. It's a bit rough to play that. Okay, SXJ. That's two, of course, for the Death Blossom, and Lauren got picked off by Zoro. ExOblivione back now in the driver's seat, and as that fight went, they were already moving the bot here. So as the first spawners come out from Quick, that bot is actually going to be advancing towards the end of the map. They are so close to that full complete, and SkyTour is pushing into their spawn. Hitori's going to jump out there with a quick stomp now. Captain Prash went very low to the stomp damage, I think, and Lauren caught them from behind the bot. Great stomp again here from Hitori. That sets up the kill on SkyTour. And Quick Esports stay in the game, but they got a lot of ego.
I mean, it's an insane comeback there, right? As ExOblivione, they had about 5 minutes on the clock, so and they had almost like no meters, in terms of their push, right? They got 142 meters in about 3 minutes. I mean, that is about as good as you can ask for. And now you're gonna have a few fights, right, where you're gonna be able to take them, here towards like center of the map, deny any space.
God, Zoro just came up with an airborne shot on Lauren, and a second to finish them off with his overclock. What confidence! They're brimming with it. Quick Esports were able to get the bot back towards the middle of the map here, and it is going to take another fight for EXO to, potentially finish the map. But what a beautiful opener with the Sojourn, taking the game into Zoro's hands.
Yeah, I also think just completely catches them off guard, right? You just round the corner on the Sojourn and just pop the overclock instantly. It's not something that Quick Esports expects, right? You're expecting maybe a little bit of poke, a little bit of neutral, and then we kind of get the fight kicked off. But Quick Esports, I mean, you just turn that corner. I mean, Lauren just gets headshot there, during the overclock. There's nothing you do.
Ken's still on this Tracer. That is not the kind of range where you can put any real threat on someone. Ken is just trying to keep SXJ away from Hitori, probably. Who, in fairness, is able to chunk SkyTour down and keep Quick Esports moving. A lot is going to hinge on controlling SXJ's positioning. Ken now has a pulse bomb to make use of. It was here hoping to connect that one, but a Death Blossom now comes out from SXJ. Cage fight thrown down by both Malgas here, but ExOblivione look far better as those walls come crumbling down. The Tracer comp here for Quick is good enough to kick them in the map for now, but they need to beat this 142-meter total.
And I mean, Quick got off to a 6 start in the net, that Ajax, right? It feels like since they got control of it for ExOblivione, I mean, it has just been all them. So they're going to be able to get control of this high ground, double support ult as well. They don't even really need more push, right? I mean, 30 seconds on the clock. This is all on Quick Esports to make plays.
All right, time to go. Soundberry here for ExOblivione, but they'd already lost Zoro to a nice shoulder charge from Hitori. They are punished, though, eventually, as SXJ gets theirs back. Ken getting involved here. ExOblivione are just trying to stall at this stage. They've definitely lost the fight. We'll be back on respawn. They, remember, have that front spawn to work with. So for Quick, it is really a very unlikely result for them to get the map done here, to be able to win things out of Runasapi as things stand.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to win probably 3 consecutive fights to get there. The next one coming to take out here in the middle of the map. ExOblivione still with that close spawn, right? I know as it goes through here, it's gonna be a TP Parlay Death Blossom combo.
All right, Lauren in the back line. Do they realize this? Ooh, yep, they're ready for it. Kakuno with a nice little kunai lobotomy on the Reaper. Don't know how much IQ he's working with, but enough to know that he's has to come in from the side. He's a very powerful hero in the game of Overwatch. The Kino eventually is going to be brought down there as well. The cleanup was good. It all starts with that straight up dive by Quick into the backline. Lauren switched over to the Sombra here now as well. And bear in mind, because Quick got so much progress at the start of the map, the bot moves awfully quick. They can win this game. They have an overclock to leverage here.
Yeah, getting through this choke is going to be very difficult. A lot of cover here for ExOblivione to play around, and SXG does have that Death Blossom.
All right, here's that overclock for Ken. No targets there to really make use of. Skytalk comes in with a charge. SXJ has a Death Blossom. Cage fight. ExOblivione have all the important ultimates here, and there's just really not much Quick can do in the face of that. It's going to be a 2K with the Death Blossom from SXJ. Press Q to win. ExOblivione claim the series.
That is a brutal one to lose there for Quick, as they got off to a fantastic start on Runasapi, and then everything just fell apart.
I could not follow. Like, there was, again, it was a very volatile matchup. Runasapi gets like this when both teams have pushed deep into the map, because all of a sudden the bot is moving, you know, like 2x, 3x speed back and forth. So it does mean that if you can string a couple fights together, you can cross literally the entire map and threaten there. But EXO, of course, with, 3 big ultimates, both DPS ultimates and a Malga ult, so that last fight there, it's pretty hard to lose.
Yeah, I mean, they were locked into the composition they play, Quick Esports. I did like that they tried different things. I mean, starting already on Oasis, right? Like, they're adding the Lucio in the mix. They also dared to go with the Zen at one point. So, you know, was it the desperation move at that point? Maybe a little bit. But I do appreciate that they tried things out. The best look still, I do feel like, was actually when they took that Malga mirror. And quite frankly, they have great pieces. Lauren on that Reaper, he did so much for that team. Like, he tried to drag them over the finishing line. Overall, a really, really competitive series.
You can see the snowball with the Winston comp is pretty insane as well. That's what gets them that like initial 129 meters at the start of the map. But in a pitched battle, the comp should get absolutely clapped by a Malga setup, right? It's pretty uncommon to see the Winston look, but if you can constantly like dive and exploit, like, you know, staggers or people not being in formation, you know, like we see these great dives from Hitori diving onto like a random Brig and an Echo, and the follow-up is good at long range from the Sojourn, then you can really put these fights together.
I mean, there have been rumors of the the death of Malga with this patch. I don't know if I believe them.
Greatly exaggerated.
Yeah, because Malga still looked quite effective. Might just be you kind of have to change some of the stuff around the Malga. I thought the Reaper was really good. The Reaper seemed to be a very good combination, because we've seen a lot of Echo with Malga. Malga and Echo kind of work pretty well together in terms of like coordinating that stump with like a focusing beam and just taking somebody out. The Reaper, though, seems to be pretty effective about getting in there and taking care of business.
I mean, we've seen a lot of Reaper already during the World Finals, so no big surprise, still shooting heads. However, it's not going to be the Reaper who is making our player of the match. No, it will be Sojourn player Zoro will get the honors for the player of the match in our first series. I mean, look, he's had a great game. Zoro had a great game.
Yeah, I mean, when they absolutely needed those kills on King's Row towards the end, right, coming up clutch with that overclock, and I know battling out with Kent was very good on the other side. Zoro definitely came up clutch.
Yeah, a couple of these fights where, like, I mean, we were looking all the way back to Oasis here. We'll excuse the crosshair, but just a couple of times, like, Zoro's just like hitting ult and sliding out into the open, and then just clapping, someone instantly with that overclock, turning into a second kill, and all of a sudden, a fight which looked like fairly neutral. When we used to talk about Sojourn ultimates, like in the grand scheme of things, it was not like a game-breaking, fight-winning automatic ultimate, like maybe.
Did Zoro change crosshairs?
Yeah, I guess they did, right? Because they had the Widow crosshair. Yeah, Zoro's been tweaking the crosshair. I think the players having a bit of fun with it now because they know we can see them.
Yeah.
They're gonna go real mad with that one. Yeah, either way, I mean, this is a double elimination bracket, so Quick Esports, they're not out of the running. And again, this was a competitive series. There were a lot of great things that we got to see in this very match, and perhaps against a different team, they will fare better and could potentially make a little bit of a run through the lower bracket where they're now finding themselves. ExOblivione awaiting their opponent. Team Peps and Areas are, I believe, still playing their series. Areas actually on match point, so the all-French roster going up against the red team on Liquipedia. Currently
Bro,
not faring
Peps,
too well.
please don't do this
I know.
again, bro.
It's a Peps moment.
Man.
It's a Peps moment of all time. Now also, of course, Virtus Pro and Vision Esports. No huge surprise there that both of them moved on in the semifinals or into the semifinals. We're now heading into a quick break and find out if the Team Peps and Areas match will wrap up in the meantime. But we keep you up to date and we see you on the other side.
Please, FD God.